Presidential elections, especially for the USA, they can impact many social and economic conditions worldwide. And this year, for the first time ever, Bitcoin is a topical issue for the candidates. But let's not forget about the things that were done and said before they started to think about your votes. Let's take a look at each candidate's Bitcoin position, both spoken and unspoken.
George Washington was the first you see. He once chopped down a cherry tree.
President number 2 would be John Adams, and then number 3.
Tom Jefferson stayed up to write a declaration late at night, so he and his wife had a great big fight, and she made him sleep on the couch all night.
It's Sir Ulric, and make sure to like, share, and subscribe. The great and powerful algorithm does not always like when non-official 3-letter news sources have an opinion about democracy. Maybe just for this episode, we'll rebrand to Swan Bitcoin Broadcasting. Maybe that will help us sneak into the party. My signal meter is green, and not because presidential candidates are acknowledging the existence of Bitcoin, but because we're at a place in history where they couldn't ignore it if they wanted to. And if they haven't already realized, they also couldn't do anything to counteract it either. Bottom line up front, the best thing any candidate can do is not waste time and energy fighting against the manifestation of economic gravity. Speaking of which, the English term economics is derived from the ancient Greek oikonomia, which is the term for the way, nomos, to run a household, oikos. With each block discovery, Bitcoin is increasingly changing the rules of the house. It's continually increasing its presence as a condition to work around, not as a commodity to control. But sometimes the old way of thinking dies slowly. Take the incumbent, for instance, Joseph R. Biden Jr. As the sitting president amidst Bitcoin's most significant market cap rises and crashes, I find it strange that he nor his VP ever have any specific comment about it. However, Biden's executive branch agencies have been busy enough to 3x the holdings of the U.S. government to just over 200K Bitcoin during his administration. Several Bitcoin wallet and transaction service companies over the last few months have decided to leave the USA because of the regulatory environment. If you judge a president by the actions of his agencies rather than his forked tongue, the FBI, SEC, FinCEN, and IRS have all been quite clear in making examples out of people who get too comfortable with using Bitcoin as a way to work around shakedown checkpoints. Recently, a Biden mass text fundraising campaign is feigning desperation as cryptocurrency executives and oil barons are writing nearly million-dollar checks to Donald Trump. Then Biden turns around saying he's seeking guidance from the crypto community regarding crypto policy moving forward. And after all that, he vetoes the bill that would have allowed regulated financial institutions to custody Bitcoin and other crypto assets. Is this purposeful chaotic behavior or a lack of direction within the administration? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because if he's reelected, we're likely to get 4 more years of Bitcoin companies sharing the exit the US vector as Ibex, Exodus, Samurai, Wasabi, and Phoenix. And he's going to need your vote to do it. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has a combo of a legendary name and seemingly more support than any third candidate has in a long time. And while it's nice to see a minor shakeup to traditional bipartisanship, real life wakes us up quickly when we remember that Trump and Biden will have a debate in late June and may not include him. And why would they? RFK can only vulture support from the 2 prime candidates, costing them potential critical votes. He became a crypto sweetheart by appearing at the Miami Crypto Conference in 2023. But much like a previous California Congress candidate, Erika Rhodes, while they are thrilled to rally interest groups with sound bites or even accept donations via alternative methods, there's no real evidence of a desire to revolutionize the broken fiat system, sometimes willingly exacerbate the problem like with her outspoken universal basic income platform. But just because a single congressperson disliked Bitcoin, her opponent Brad Sherman, some hard money advocates are willing to support full-stop modern monetary theory as long as the politician smiles in their direction for a moment in time. Now, if you go to Kennedy24.com, you would think the candidate that advocates verbally for Bitcoin because inflation is bad, central banking is evil, CBDCs are slavery, you would think he would mention Bitcoin somewhere on his website. Bitcoin is a $1.36 trillion asset and growing, and there's a $1 trillion crypto market riding on Bitcoin's coattails as well. Speaking of which, the Bitcoin candidate recently had a photo op with the owner of a centralized crypto project worth billions. So many sound bites, so much hearsay, but you would never know his support for a decentralized hard money system by his own website, which tells us what's important to him. Not one mention of Bitcoin in any of his dozen plus listed platforms. Truth be told, I did notice one Bitcoin related statement in his newsfeed section maybe 6 months ago, but that's long buried by now. How can this guy be your Bitcoin president when he only talks about Bitcoin to Bitcoiners? That's not what any Bitcoiner I know is like. But let me guess, RFK diehards will say, trust me, bro, it's different this time. Well, what happens when he no longer needs your votes? Maybe another rug pull like New York Mayor Eric Adams, who also was promoted by crypto media corporations. Once RFK is in office, he could possibly see the light like Eric Adams and support a push for extreme nationwide mining regulations, demonetizing an entire industry domestically. When will people learn? Then there was one that said he was not a fan of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, which are not money and whose value is highly volatile and based on thin air. Oh, my bad. That was 2019. Sorry, that was so long ago. Here's the real clip.
Logical step for you to embrace Bitcoin because Bitcoin obviously is decentralized. The government can't get its hands on it. What about Bitcoin with all the young people, including African Americans, who are very interested in it?
Well,
Even African Americans.
What do you mean, you people?
What do you mean, you people?
a lot of people are doing it. I always liked one currency. I call it a currency. I like the dollar. But a lot of people are doing it. And frankly, it's taken a life of its own. You probably have to do some regulation, as you know. But many people are embracing it. And more I'm seeing people wanting to pay Bitcoin. And you're seeing something that's interesting. So I can live with it one way or the other. I've always liked one really powerful thing, and that's called the dollar.
But still, sorry again. That was February of 24. Here's the clip that he said last month.
I will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in the USA, not driven overseas. I will support the right to self-custody to the nation's 50 million crypto holders. I say this with your vote. I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin. And I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency.
As Donald J. Trump waits for sentencing for the most misdemeanor-like felony ever written, he continues to be in situations that remind me of a main character in an off-the-wall anime. And he's always interested in going where his opponents are not. If elected, he promises to free Ross Ulbricht. That's good for business. Right now, in a nation where services in the liberty industry are literally catching the next flight out of the country, it's smart to promise to be the defender of the opposite side. But do not think for a second that Trump has bought into the idea of your magic internet money. His recent quotes sound no more genuine than RFK's from 2023 and this year. The NFT creating, dollar hegemony defending, grudge holding former president will recruit as many emotional actors to his cause for the November showdown, and his MAGA acolytes can be as misguided as the people they fight against. Newsflash, the US dollar dominance is what gives your rivals the power to do all the things you hate when you can't keep political advantage. Trump supporters don't realize that incorruptible money is the foundation for a strong society. All the features that they think they want from society is a byproduct of what universal adoption of Bitcoin would bring. But no politician will tell you that. Even Trump has said a little inflation is good for the economy, and most of his followers just nod in approval. Now you might say, well, you didn't give me an option to pick, and I would then tell you, sir, this is a Wendy's. In other words, I don't have that answer for you. But you don't want to be easy pickings for a politician because they use your buzzword. Whether you vote for Mr. Executive Order Biden, RFK and his Silicon Valley deep pockets running mate, or the trash-talking Trump, they do not hold the fate of Bitcoin. Biden, you want to win? How about stopping your three-letter agencies from breaking down doors? Tell Elizabeth Warren to shut the hell up about Bitcoin and stop printing dollars for other countries. If you bring some solvency to this country, we may ignore the First Lady's weird holiday rituals at the White House. What's her name again? Bobby, you want to make history? You've allegedly been in Bitcoin a while. Are you going to let the free market prevail, or are you just here for campaign donations and political stories to write a New York Times bestseller? Also, stop straddling fences. Having a stack of Bitcoin doesn't make you a Bitcoiner any more so than spending the night in a garage makes you a car. Why don't you talk about Bitcoin on your website? Good luck with the autobiography. Donnie, you really want to drain the swamp? You ain't being genuine unless you recognize that central banking money creation is the very life source of the thing you claim to be fighting. You have to acknowledge that productivity is more important than dollar hegemony. Encourage your loyal disciples to learn about Bitcoin. Only then could you truly hope to make America great again. And also, whoever's giving you those sound bites on Ulric and Bitcoin, make sure they have a good place in your administration if you win. I am so happy no matter what manipulative chief of state gets elected, my Bitcoin will continue to realize its value potential. I literally dare America or another nation state to outlaw a particular code set, a mathematical formula, or a medium of communication. To write such a law is dystopian, to try and enforce such a law is wasteful, to fail and concede to the impossibility is revealing to the limited power of the state. Joe, Bobby, Donnie, don't be that guy. Leave well enough alone. I am Sir Ulric like my father before me. Vote with your morals, vote with your feet, and vote with how you save your money.